listening to the Social Media Insider Podcast, a podcast by MediaCrate, where we know that social media marketing can be complicated, and that's why we're focusing on the tools, tactics, and strategies that are helping to grow businesses just like yours every day.
Welcome to the Social Media Insider Podcast, a podcast from MediaCrate, where we know that social media marketing can be hard, but we make it simple. Today, we're talking about content calendars. So if you're a marketer, social media manager, business owner, you have heard the term content calendars before, and maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't, maybe you're using one right now or have been putting it off. If you have been putting it off, we urge you to start using one right away because it will change your life and make it that much simpler to schedule out and know what's coming up in the future and basically forecast your entire social media marketing strategy and approach to content. So want to kind of start off by just stressing the differences between our content calendar, which is obviously super important, and an editorial calendar. We find these terms get mixed up quite a bit. And so within your content calendar, you would find an editorial calendar. So that is basically a place where you will compile all of your research, right? So you've gone out, you've researched a topic, you know that it's popular enough for your audience to even care about, and you're going to be scheduling out the creation of that content. So who's doing the research? Who's doing the writing? Who's doing the editing? Who's doing the editing again, right? Who's approving the final copy? All of those things. That is an editorial calendar. It's getting all of your content ready to be distributed onto your actual social channels. So what we're talking about today is the content calendars, which would basically plan out your entire strategy and plan out all the content that's going to be going out to your social channels. So what's going on Twitter, when, who's responsible for posting it, what images are we using, are we putting out any stories on Instagram on, May the 26th? Who's responsible for that? What time is it going out? What does it look like? And what messaging is behind it? So with the content calendars, the most important reason for having these is to stay organized, okay? We have clients here at MediaCrate where we're all on content calendars, but depending on how the client wants to work and what works for them and their schedule, ultimately, we have different ways of doing this. So we invite our clients to come and take a look at their content calendar and be a part of the process. So we are responsible for creating the content, scheduling it out, getting the messages and the captions together, doing the link tracking, all of that stuff. But at any point in time, a client or a teammate can jump in and make changes and see what's going on, right? And so that's the most important thing, is it keeps everyone on the same page and makes teamwork that much simpler. Because, and not to, kind of get negative here, but someone said to me a long time ago, God forbid if you ever to drop dead or get hit by a bus and you're the only one who knows what's going on, then the rest of us are left with our, hats in our hands. And at the time, I remember thinking, I get hit by a bus and all you're thinking about is what's going on social that day. Anyways, not important. But what is important is it's good that everyone is on the same page and everyone has access to this calendar. Yeah, way to start off the podcast on a low note. Anyways, we're back. So what else are social media calendars good for? So it helps you to forecast. So the way that we use ours is that we kind of schedule everything out a few months in advance. So we know, and we are in May right now. So we know in July, for example, up in Canada, we have Canada Day long weekend, and there are certain events that are happening around that. So we want to know, okay, Canada Day long weekend, this is what's going on. There's going to be this parade. This client needs this kind of post, and we can have it on there so we know that it's coming up. And that's one of the ways you can set it up. You can highlight all the different key dates in your social calendar and be able to look at them from afar. And then the closer you get to it, you have the ability to say, okay, it's coming up. We're 2 weeks out. What messaging are we putting out? What do we need to approve? What do we need to research? Do we need to source any imagery? Do we need to create any imagery? Do we need to create any graphics? Who's doing what by when? That is your content calendar. So a couple of this content calendars that we have used and actually really liked are some from some pretty heavy hitters in the game. And one of them comes from Hootsuite. You're going to hear us talk about Hootsuite a lot because we just think that they're doing amazing things in the social media world and have the team and have built the clout that they have experience and have tested what works and what does not work and guide marketers each and every day through their content. So why not learn from those who have been there already? So Hootsuite has a great system where they've actually created templates for you, and we'll post them in the show notes. But Hootsuite has created templates so you can go in and via Excel or Google Sheets, whatever your preferred platform, you can edit these spreadsheets and they break it down. The first page of your template or the first tab is a 30-day calendar. 31-day calendar, sure. And you can change that, and then it's color-coded depending on if you're sharing an email that day, or if a blog post is going out, or if it's a Facebook post, Instagram post, whatever it may be, and you can fill them in. And then there are additional tabs for each of the social channels. So you have your Facebook, Instagram, you have LinkedIn, you have Pinterest, and there are different fields where you can fill in what the message is, what the link is we're sharing that day, what the image file is, what the description is if you're posting to a LinkedIn group, what the title is as well. And so you can plan out all your content right there. They also have a cool feature that's called a content repository. So you can post all the links that you may find through your internet searches. And if you're just scrolling and you want to save something, you can put it all there so it's all kept in one place. So Hootsuite's got a great tool. It's free. Go grab it. It's what we started using. The only reason we don't use it now is because we are having to update too many things to make changes to it. So for example, the 31-day calendar doesn't update automatically to the different tabs for obvious reasons. You have to do kind of work a few times just to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. But if you have the team for it, then by all means, use it. You just got to test it out and figure out what works for you. Another tool comes from friends over at CoSchedule. So if you have not heard of CoSchedule, go visit them. They have one of the best content management tools that are out there right now. And we love it. Again, we moved away from the platform just because we found something else that worked better overall. But in the time that we did use CoSchedule, it was fantastic. So if you're doing a lot of content writing, a lot of blogging, and you're using WordPress, for example, they have a WordPress integration where you can pull all your content down, your rough drafts from Google Docs, for example. You can open it up in CoSchedule, and it does a couple things. You can analyze the headline, right? So it tells you how effective will this headline be, who's going to be clicking over from it, and how much authority does it have? Are you using the right words to catch people? Do your keywords have authority? And is anyone going to even care about what you're trying to say? Then from there, you can go and produce the final post in WordPress, schedule it, publish it. But you actually schedule it inside of CoSchedule. So along with your blog posts, you can schedule out Pinterest updates. You can schedule Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I believe LinkedIn as well. And then it gives you a really nice calendar. And depending on how large your team is or how many people you have kind of, scheduling out for different clients, you can have different calendars so things don't get too cluttered. So that's a great tool to check out. One that we are currently using, it's actually a bit of a different take. We use Asana for all of our team collaborations, and Asana has a template that they created that works as an editorial calendar. And so what we did is kind of just took that, made some edits to it to make it into our content calendar, and we've broken it down into a few sections versus tasks. So if you are familiar with Asana, it's a project management tool. And what we've done is gone in, and with each project, you can create either a list or a board. So we've created our list, and then the first task in that list is a section. If you put a little semicolon at the end, it becomes a section. And so we say May 2018, right? That's just our section. And then our first task is just any liner notes. So any key dates communicated from the client, anything we need to know, any specific messaging, and that's always there. Then our next section is week 1. And then we schedule out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then each day you can go in, you can paste your imagery, you can paste the links that you're using. It's very, very powerful. And we'll actually include a screenshot of that in the show notes for you as well, so you can see what's happening there. But overall, if you're not using a content calendar, you're missing out, because long gone are the days when, number one, posting to any social network instantly or organically is happening. People tend to kind of sit on content. They schedule it out, they plan it. Nothing is happening instantly anymore. Unless you're on Instagram stories, nothing's happening instantly. And if you have all this content building up, one, you're going to miss out on some things. You're going to forget about content, and you're not going to have a plan. And when it comes to your social media strategy, you need to follow the plan, because without it, everything falls apart. No one knows what's going on. The term is what? The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. That's exactly what happens. If you're on a team, it's important that everyone stays on the same page and that there are no gaps, because the last thing you want are, number one, gaps in your posting schedule, or number two, people on your team not knowing what's happening and posting similar or contradicting messages either. So get a content calendar, check the show notes for examples of what we use. But if you want, to check out CoSchedule and Hootsuite, you can also visit our blog at blog.mediacrate.social and just check out the content calendar post there. But that is it for today. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of it. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. That would be great. Rate and review this on iTunes. If you have any pressing comments or concerns, send us an email to info@mediacrate.social. But thank you. You've been listening to the Social Media Insider podcast from Media Crate. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Social Media Insider. Please don't forget to rate and review this podcast on your preferred channel. Keep in mind, if there's anything you ever want to hear on the podcast, send an email to info@mediacrate.social or follow us on our social channels @MediaCrate to continue the conversation. Thanks for thinking inside the box. We'll talk to you next time.